afternoon. I'll call this call meeting of the Palm, it's not going to be on, of the Palm County Board of Commissioners special call meeting. And it is called to set up the organization for the Citizen Study Committee on the airport and IBA. I'll try to follow a similar procedure. So would you stand with me if you're able? We'll pray and then we'll pray. Dear Father, Lord, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable unto thee, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Lord, we ask you for discernment, we ask you for wisdom. Help us in making decisions that are in the best interest of this county, and that we always follow thy word. Lord, we ask a special blessing on both these chosen committees, chosen by members of the board and the chamber and the cities. Lord, we ask you to give them discernment and wisdom. All this we ask in the humble name.
Hey, we have Ron and Chris, some of you guys probably know him. He got killed this afternoon when you don't know.
Was it Ron?
Ron Chris.
With us. Thank you. Second pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any other time that I've had opportunities, set up a steering committee, we set up economic development, and it was very successful. So the economic development board, they got their own officers, and now they've gone through gangbusters. So hopefully we can have this go in a similar manner. We were asked to get citizens' input, and this is what this committee is doing. Each of us had a member that we asked to serve on this committee. So thank you all for doing that. Not all the members were able to attend tonight. We won't always be able to do that. Greg tells me that we're bound by the same rules and laws as the Board of Commissioners for any kind of meeting, and you do need a quorum. So when you do decide your next meeting times, out of the 8 on each IBA and airport committee, there will need to be 5 there, and the 2 post commissioners for the airport will be Commissioner Townell and Commissioner Carmichael will be the airport, and Commissioner Grail and Commissioner Barnett will be for the IBA, and they'll just be there to facilitate and help any way they can. If you want to invite a guest in, you want a House of Representatives, you can talk to a lawyer, whatever you need access to, we'll try to make that available. When you call your meetings, probably it would help whenever y'all make that decision to do your next meeting, and I would recommend that you elect among yourselves a chairperson for the committee to help lead, and then you will follow the same procedure as we do. Somebody will have to also be your secretary to take minutes of the meeting. I did not tell y'all to turn off all the cell phones, Nextels, and pagers, so would you please do that this time? We're under care of Lloyd Austin, Mary Debbie, Commissioner-elect Tony Crow. Thank you all for being here. I'd like to take this time to introduce our panel, and then I've asked for a couple of people to give us some history on IBA and airport. tell us a little bit about yourself, as we call your name out. My nominee for the airport authority is Larry Reinhardt. If you can't be quiet, I'm going to ask you to leave.
Well, this will leave now then.
So my name is Larry Reinhardt. I'm a resident of Post 2, and I live in Vista Lake. As most people know, I actually run the Support Paulding County Airport Facebook page, and actually been doing that since November after the airport was announced to go commercial. And I've actually been a strong proponent of any types of jobs in this county, but in addition to the aviation, more so for the simple fact that the airport actually is underutilized, and we actually need to make it become at least cost neutral, if not profitable in the future. So I'm more of a concerned citizen, and that's what I'm here for.
Post 1 is Terry Tibbs. Terry's not with us tonight. Post 2 is John Dean.
Good evening, my name is John Dean. I'm retired from Lockheed. I'm a program manager at Lockheed. Excuse me, for 20 years. I'm also retired from the Marine Corps as a division sergeant major. Likewise, I'm a concerned citizen. I don't think Larry and I share quite the same concerns with the airport. We do have to do something with it. I just think we need to do something smart and use the property that is appropriate with it.
Post 3 is Mark Caffrey. Mark's out of town. Post 4 is Mike Mason.
My name's Mike Mason. I'm a lawyer in Dallas. I live out around the corner from Ranks Elementary. We got there about 10 years ago, so I'm just a concerned citizen. Want to be able to have input as to what's best for the county.
City of Dallas, Gary Mall.
My name is Garrett Malden, retired 4 years ago from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Worked 32 years there as a water resource engineer. Got a bachelor's of civil engineering from Georgia Tech and a master's in water resources from Colorado State. I live right in the middle of downtown.
Harold Gary Weekly, City Hiram.
My name is Gary Weekly. I live in Post 3, I believe it is. I am a shop owner in old downtown Hiram and a concerned citizen for the county. I've lived in the county for 17 years.
City Manager, Chamber of Commerce.
My name is Cecilia McMicken. I'm a 34-year resident of Paulding County. I am a paralegal, have been for also 34 years. I am very concerned about this county. I want the best for myself, my family, your children, all of us as a whole. Thank you.
Terry Tibbs just joined us. Terry, you'll have a seat at the table and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Terry Tibbetts, 56-year resident of Paulding County, research engineer at Georgia Tech, and glad to be here.
On the Industrial Building Authority, Kenny Bird, Chairman's appointee.
My name is Kenneth Bird. I'm a retired fire chief in Fulton County. 28 years of service with the county, Fulton County. I lived in Paulding County 45 years. I've raised my daughter here and my grandchildren. I've all graduated from the Paulding County school system here. And I'm a very concerned citizen about Paulding County, about bringing good paying, high-paying jobs to the county.
Mike Scott is Post 1, and I believe he's out of town. Is that okay? Post 2 is Paul Callahan.
I'm Paul Callahan. I live in Post 2. I'm a small business in Paulding County. I've been here for about 45 years.
Post 3, Matthew Pierce.
I'm a resident of Hiram. I've lived here for 7 years. A year ago, I was able to convince my company, which is an Italian-based company, to locate in Hiram, and we purchased the building in Hiram. And we're going to be expanding and creating jobs in Hiram.
Post 4, Jerry Johnson.
I'm a resident of Paulding County for 11 years, Post 4, licensed professional engineer. Got an undergraduate degree from Georgia Tech Civil Engineering, and a master's in business administration from Georgia Tech. Here's a concerned citizen. I own an architecture and engineering firm.
Jerry Johnson, City of Dallas.
My name is Terry Johnson. I'm the Director of HR and Business Development for Puckett EMS. I am the President of the Vista Lake HOA. I've been there for 4 years now. I've been on board there for almost 8. I'm a veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan conflicts, and lived here for about 8 years now too as well. So.
Peggy Howard, the city of Hiram.
I have been a resident here for the last 10 years. I live in Greystone subdivision where I've built a roof close to the new hospital. I had a small business in downtown Hiram that I just closed and retired with a year ago, so.
And Raymond Phillips, Chamber of Commerce.
Raymond Phillips, local business owner, and been here since 1989.
Thank you all for agreeing to be here and serve. Ken Thickman, if you want to stand there on the lectern.
Whatever you want me to do.
There's no sound system on, so
Okay.
you're welcome to speak anywhere you want to. Give us a little history on IBA and airport is probably the longest serving.
I think you said
I
you're
realize
the
I'm
oldest
the
one
only
here.
people here. Do what?
I think you said you're the oldest one here.
That's right. I was, when, after this, I think committee was thought up, a couple of the commissioners asked me to talk about the Industrial Building Authority and the Airport Authority. I was on the Airport Authority, the Industrial Building Authority 40 years, so I pretty well know how it operated for most of that time. The Airport Authority, for most of that time, was a small committee, but in our later years, it grew to be a very active committee. I would like to say that I resigned about 2.5 years ago. I have not been involved other than what I have read in the paper or heard in the news or read in the newspaper. So I really want to just tell people, people on this committee, sort of what we have been through in our period of time. And we had one problem probably for 30 years on the Industrial Building Authority, and that was we didn't have any money. And one thing that will make jobs available to this county is going to be some people willing to provide money to economic development, because that's what it takes. I think most everybody in this room has said they're interested in this county. I'm interested in decent paying jobs for our children. And I think that's probably what they will find that as they study Industrial Building Authority or the Airport Authority. That's what our goal has always been. Most of my time, we had a single man commission, entirely different kind of county than when you have 5 men with an elected chairman. So we sought under the direction that whole time of the county commission chairman, the one person. I've made other talks since all this has come up, and I will say this about the airport. I think that anybody on that airport authority, whether it's anybody in this room, they were sitting there and the federal government said, we'll give you $50 million. I don't think anybody would go and turn it down.
I think I would. I'd turn it
sorry.
down.
I would.
I would. Yeah, I would.
I'm going to ask you to be removed. Let's see if you can't be.
This is a joke. This is a farce.
Marshall, would you?
These are not citizens.
Escort.
You've loaded the tables here.
Please. escort.
This is a joke.
Yeah. Thank you.
You should be ashamed.
Thank you.
I think we should all go with it.
I'm sorry that happened, because I'm not up here supporting anything. I'm just telling you what sort of happened in the last 40 years. But what the airport does provide a place for jobs that are higher paying than the job Baltimore County has created to them. The airport, and people say, well, it's never done anything, has not made any money. We've been in the worst recession. I'm in the banking business, and for the last 10 or 15 years, we have been in the worst recession of my life, and it will go down as a great recession. It was not. You couldn't do anything because there was nothing to offer anybody. We got into a real estate problem that lasted all this time. I think that, given a chance, just as a normal business, housing jets and other airplanes, the taxes they pay along with what we went by will make a very good budget for a business. I'm a believer in the county as a business. You've got to operate it just like you do. You've got a CEO and a chief executive officer or a chief operating officer, and you've got to let them sort of do their jobs. So I think that hopefully that'll happen. The county is, the IBA has property. They get it either buying it or the county donates it to them, which they've done things with. Chattanooga Tech is old property that the IBA purchased and gave to Chattanooga Tech to build that college. The North Park is out there because the IBA bought the property, put in a water tank, and it's got some good small businesses out there if you ever go out there. So it's, the IBA, as you will find as you study the IBA, has done many things to assist job development in this county. One of the things I think that is important that public, some way or another, can sort of get together on what direction they want to take, and maybe this is a good idea. Having an oversight committee, y'all will be able to take stand back and take a look at what's going on, what you want to happen, and get these authorities to work with you. They have a lot of power. They can do things as long as they have the money to do them in the direction that the county wants them to go.
Lloyd, you've also been a long-serving member of the IBA before. Would you like to engage?
Well, I think the most important thing for this board is to know the history and the background. You have received a copy of the legislation that created both authorities. They are both created constitutional authorities that are 50 years old, more than 50 years old. The composition of the board is determined by law and can only be changed by law. So any recommendations that you make in that regard would have to be sent and subject to approval of the local legislative delegation and make those changes, if that would be the pleasure. Ken touched on a little bit that in my lifetime in this county, almost 52 years, going back talk about respect and honesty and transparency, I think we all deserve it. But 52 years here, we've grown from a population of about 14,000 in the 60s to 155,000. And maybe the things that were applicable at that time may need to be tweaked or changed for modern times, may need a better fit. If you look at the history, Ken talked a little bit about the North and the South Industrial Park, and he told you that the South Industrial Park is the site of Chattanooga Tech. The first the first industrial building built in this county is the site of Simmons Engineering. It was built in the mid-1970s by the IBA. It was a spec building. It was not occupied until the late 70s. In fact, when the airplane crashed at New Hope in 1977, they moved tables out of the schools and used it as a mooring. So that property was the first project that the IBA had. They had the property where Chattanooga Tech is located and the businesses along what is now Thomas B. Murphy Drive going back over to Academy Drive. The North Park is, you probably know, primarily from the location of the Sheriff's Department and the Paulding County Community Center and the Paulding County DOT offices. But that originally was planned as an office and industrial park to help generate business and growth. At some point in the early 80s and mid-80s, they began to explore opportunities out there, and county government offices took many of those parcels, so we were limited at that time. The inventory was never replenished. It was donated for those purposes. The same thing took place in the South Park when Chattanooga Tech was built. the two prime corners of that park near 278 were given to the state basically to get to college. So you had an erosion of assets and never had an opportunity to see those replenished. Through the years, the IBA worked with various industries. They brought Cadillac Enterprises here. Cadillac Parkway was built, and they also worked with MG International, the manufacturing firms that have come since have had some relation to the IBA through various incentives that it may have offered over time and through the local government authorities. Ken said the issue was that we had never had a lot of money, or I would say capital, invested in the IBA. For a long period of time, it was either funded or not funded at the whim of the governing authority. And so I think what we have seen over the past few years with the ability to have a steady funding stream, we've been able to acquire some properties and parcels. We've been able to sell those parcels and reinvest in the county, reinvest in the IBA. That's generally where we stand now. You can read the enabling legislation. The airport authority was originally an adjunct of the IBA. It was later separated in the 70s. And that was done at a time that a family here in the county, the largest family landowners, sold more than 10,000 acres to the city of Atlanta airport. And at that time, it was anticipated that this could possibly be a site of the second Atlanta airport. There were actually two sites in the county, and they had sites in other counties. But the way that property was sold is that it was put in a restricted deed that until I think 2035, it can't be sold for any purpose to anyone unless the original owners buy it at a predetermined price that is very similar to the amount that they were paid originally. It was a very sweet deal, and a lot of money was made. At that time, there was a lot of controversy stirred up by it. There was a sole commissioner in the county at the time, and when Atlanta bought the property, it created a lot of animus and a lot of conversation. That is what promulgated the creation of a three-man original board of commissioners. We went from the sole commissioner, and in 1974, I think it was, that the county voted to go to a three-man commission governing authority. And those first commissioners were elected in 1976. The chair and the post one commissioner were elected for 4-year terms, the post two commissioner for 2, and then became staggered after that. Later on, the development moved to a 5-man or 5-member commission. The airport authority in my tenure in office, and I serve on both of these boards because of the position I hold in that office, have looked at something more of a landing strip type airport, and it had been in the southwestern portion of the county, the preferred location by the then members of the board. The FAA reviewed that process and did not particularly like the location, and Blake could probably give the exact details on how we went through the process to come to the final selection of the location that we have now, and how the airport developed the funding process, all of the plan approvals and everything that went through. So that's the background and the history. Neither board had been extremely active. There were times in the late 90s and even as early 2000s that they rarely met because they didn't have business to do. So it has definitely grown in size and scope as the county and resources have grown, and with the construction of the airport, primarily through federal money, and then the construction of the terminal. In 2006, there was a master plan developed for the airport was submitted. That's when the airport overlay district was created. That development plan was submitted and won an award from the U.S. Department of Commerce and laid out how the future use of that area would be done, particularly the parcels that were owned by the airport. So there's a whole history, there's a lot more history than I can cover, and cover generally rather than succinctly, but I know the records are available. Blake and Ken both have knowledge, and others that have served there certainly testified on that.
Blake, if you give us a brief history of the airport.
First off, I'll actually start with industrial inventory. My experience, obviously, with industrial inventory and the airport authority doesn't go back as far as Mayor Austin's or however, I did start working in conjunction with the industrial authority pretty much right after I came to work for the county in 2000. At that point in time, the industrial authority and the chamber were actually joining together. So the executive director of the Paulding Chamber ran the Paulding County Industrial Building Authority. And that was the case from 2000 when I came to work for Paulding County as director of the Department of Transportation, all the way up until 2006. In 2006, the Industrial Building Authority Board decided to split from the chamber and have a separate executive director for the IBA and not share a director with the chamber and the IBA. So in 2006, I was asked by the IBA board if I would serve as interim executive director while they did a search for an executive director. I agreed to do that. And after going through a pretty exhaustive search, unfortunately, the Industrial Building Authority at the time did not find a candidate that worked with them to run that organization. So I was asked to stay on it, continue to run the organization. I will say that the IBA has worked very closely with the county over the years that I've been associated with the IBA. Going all the way back to 2003, the Industrial Building Authority issued bonds to construct the sewer plant down in the south end of the county. So the sewer plant was down 61 in the south end of the county, just south of the governor's of Georgia. Was constructed by bonds that were issued by the Industrial Building Authority. So that was obviously a joint project between the IBA and the county. As recently as last year, the Industrial Building Authority issued bonds at the request of the county to fix subdivision streets. The county left defunct and in bad condition because of the real estate collapse from 08 to 09. So the IBA has worked incredibly closely with the county over the years to facilitate county projects as well as Industrial Building Authority projects. And the Industrial Building Authority has worked just as closely with the airport to facilitate the construction and expansion of the airport. My association with the airport goes all the way back to 2003. Chairman at that time was Jerry Sherritt. At that point in time, he came to me as executive director of the Department of Transportation and asked me to do some footwork with the FAA to determine what it would take to construct an airport in Paulding County. My background includes airport engineering, planning, design, and construction on the consulting side. And I previously worked for a consulting firm. Also includes air traffic control. I was an air traffic control in the military for 4 years. So my aviation background was fairly extensive before I came to the county. In 2003, at the request of the chairman, met with the FAA, started putting together the plan as to what it would require for us to construct the airport. At that point in time, we basically reconstituted the airport authority. The airport authority had not met really since the late 90s, since there was really no reason for an airport authority to meet when you don't have an airport and you aren't pursuing the construction of an airport. So for many, many years, the airport authority, even though it existed on paper, existed as far as the state was concerned, there were no members and they did not meet. So in 2003, reconstituted the airport authority, started the monthly meetings of 22 members, and eventually started construction of the airport in 2006. At the time we started the construction of the airport in 2006, the Board of Commissioners decided to create the airport department, which is of course a department of Paulding County, and gave me the option of either staying as director of the Department of Transportation or taking over the airport as director for the airport. So I chose to go to the airport and become the director for the airport department, and I've been involved in the day-to-day operation and construction of the airport ever since. So obviously the background information on the recent events of the airport, what the airport has been doing for the last 8 years, all of that I have, of course, stored away in my brain, and I'm glad to share anything and everything that I can with you. A lot of the more historical information going back to the 70s and 80s and 90s will have to depend on other folks for that information. I'm glad to help facilitate both groups.
I would like to make one point that I left out, and I was reminded when Blake spoke. When I talked about the enabling legislation, this going back to 1962, there are two forms of authorities. One is the constitutional authority, which these are under, and another one is a statutory authority. And the scope is broader under the constitutional authorities. There are very few left in the state anymore. The state closed that in the 70s. Again, operating under a separate code section. So when you look at authorities, you may not see, if you look in a neighboring county or you know of another one somewhere else, they may not have the same powers because they're operating under another section, the OCGAs. The other one is when the chamber and the IBA separated. That relationship has been created to build the strength of the chamber, to give the IBA a director. At that time, the then current commission chairman and members of the board of commissioners decided to dissolve those bands between the two of them and move them into separate positions. They formally had funded the IBA director who served also as probably president of the chamber, chairman is a member of the director, president, chief operating officer, chief executive officer. So that was the reason those two were separated at that time, to move them apart and make the chamber more a private enterprise, privately funded, and to maintain the funding, county funding for the IBA.
What you're charged with is your recommended body, and any changes that need to take place will be legislated. And so, you have this legislation in front of you to study. What I think would be appropriate tonight, and I don't know if this side will go to that side, or how you want to turn your chairs around. But let's start with John there and change some chairs and work this side will be the airport committee, and this side will be the IBA. So bring your chairs around and y'all get with your committees, and I would hope that you would, I would ask you to go into separate conference rooms, but that's a little more difficult, and you got the doors open and all those type of things. So if you don't mind turning your chairs around, and what we're trying to do is do airport on this side, and IBA on this side. I think it would be wise to choose a spokesperson for the group, and you're going to need to have a secretary to take your minutes. And then if y'all would then try to decide if you want to make a future meeting date tonight, that's fine. We will try to, at the end of the meeting, get all your emails to make sure we have every way to be in touch with you. What those sets of commissioners will help you do is facilitate, if you need an attorney there, if you need someone from the FAA, or an industrial building authority, might have guest in from some other county or that type of thing. We're going to try to have you take this closer look at this to see if it's what you're looking for as a steering committee, if there's changes that you want to see. That's what we're asking you to see a recommendation of both these two. So if y'all would take a minute and turn your chairs around and get on the respective sides and then try to
Like forming our own county. We're going to secede from the county.
Very good, sir.
When we asked for a stack deck, we got double. They made sure we got what we wanted, we just double.